Sky Squad, we are back in the building and we got to talk about Love and Hip Hop Atlanta. I know it's been a minute, so y'all don't come after me. I done missed like a couple of episodes, maybe I think 2 episodes during the time period where I was going to Bali. But we are back with the jump off, so we're gonna dive all the way into it. But before we do that, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell button, get engaged, tap the like button, smack that like button, flip that like button, rub it up and down, all of that because we need the engagement on this channel. Now, of course, like I said, we were in Bali for the past 2 weeks, so I missed its past 2 episodes. So we're gonna pick up actually where we left off. I need to go back and catch up. I've caught a couple of clips here and there of what has been going on. But we're gonna talk a little bit about the episode as it was in this particular week right here. We're on season 12, episode 12, and the episode is titled Discontent. Okay, it's likely a play on words because this whole album with Spice is really confusing to me, right? Because there is this idea that she wants everybody to come together, right? And she's working with some phenomenal artists, I'm assuming outside of the cast as well. So it'll be members of the cast on the album. But then when I'm listening to what she's trying to get them to do in this episode, it's confusing to me. Okay. So the title Discontent is likely a result of the fact that Amy and Bambi are both dissing each other on the album, on the track, which sounds somewhat similar. So we're gonna dive into that. But the episode description reads as such: Hurricane Chris helps Sierra take her rap career by storm. Jock tries to prove to Kendra that the blogs are wrong, and Rennie embraces the labor of love. So let's start things off. I want to talk first things first about Sierra. No, I'm going to talk about Spice first because there's a scene with Spice and a particular artist. I cannot recall his name. And before I get to that, though, let me rate the episode on a scale of 1 to 10. If I had to say my enjoyment of this episode was a 10, but I got to take 9 points off because I don't really understand what Spice was trying to do. So I got to take a point off and give it a 9. I enjoyed the episode. I thought it was good. I thought it was funny. But again, Spice is determined to get everybody together for a rehearsal, for a showcase. But it don't sound to me like the songs are finished. Like people are supposed to be turning in verses, but it sounds like they all turning in verses for the same beat. So she want to get everybody together. She is using Yandy's expertise because Yandy has worked in the music business before and helped put things together and projects together. So that makes sense. And I do enjoy the idea that someone is doing a cast album because this has been long. This has been a long time coming, I would say. The premise of Love and Hip Hop has always been about the music and about the love triangles and all of the plots and tricks and of the trade of reality television. But intermingled is and at the core of it is, hip hop, right? So the fact that Spice is the one leading the charge makes the most sense since she has been the person who has most recently had the most commercial success on the show. I'm talking Grammys, I'm talking tours, I'm talking, just being on the world stage outside of the microcosm of this show, right? So her intent is to get them together to have a rehearsal. And I'm thinking, how are you having a rehearsal for songs that don't seem to be finished? And are these each individual songs? And if so, why do they all seem like they have the same beat? What is the purpose here? My assumption would have been that this would have been more of a Spice album with the artists on the tracks, right? Like, okay, Spice is the through put for this album, but each and every individual might be performing on a specific track along with her. That was my interpretation. But maybe it is that everybody will have their own individual songs, or is it just one song that they're all on? That's confusing to me. So how are you going to have a rehearsal for something that nobody seems to understand, and not even all of the verses, particularly Young Jock's, are even finalized. Lil Zane don't even remember the words to his. Rashida don't remember the words to hers. So you want to put together a showcase next week for stuff that's just not done? I don't get it. I understand the time constraints because you only got, what, 3 months maybe to film this show? But it doesn't make sense because we haven't heard finalized versions of the songs. I would have preferred to hear that first. In fact, I think that some of these songs should have already been out for public consumption so that we could be listening to them and then we could see the making of them. To me, that's how you do reality TV and you do a making of the album. You put that music out there, you start streaming that music already before you give us the album, put out certain singles so that people's songs could already be percolating, they could be performing, but the momentum can be building, and then show us the process in this season and then the next season, and then the next season, put out the album at the end of the season. That way, you can take the season after that and you can try to see how the tour comes together. But this season should have been putting out a couple of singles, showing us how you made them. Next season, putting out the next set of singles. And if they were diss tracks, then show the aftermath of that and show how we're going to be trying to work together to finish this album. And in the next season, how are we going to tour? Like the plan could have, like, that's that. Maybe that is the plan. I don't know. But I'm just letting you know, based on what we have seen in previous seasons of what R&B divas, like, we know how these things go. The conflict is inherent in the premise. The premise of trying to put all these artists together in a big group when they don't get along is the inherent conflict that makes the most sense for this show at this point, if that's what you're trying to do. And I know for me, I'm dissecting this in such a psychological way because it is important to me as we talk about how reality TV functions in this day and age. And I have been long saying that reality TV needs to evolve. It is like, how do we continue just this same cycle of going out to eat and going to dinner and shading each other? I think Love and Hip Hop has done something a little bit different, particularly with Atlanta, because it's more campy, right? It's more camp now than it is, anything else. And so I feel like Love and Hip Hop is operating on its own cylinders, right? Not necessarily with the same Housewives format, which I think is why, for me, the entertainment value has remained the same in these past few seasons. Now, let's get further into the episode because now I've told you about this confusing thing that Spice is trying to organize. It will make sense later when we get into the nuances of what happens when everybody gets together. But we got to take care of a couple of other things first. Amy Luciani is meeting up with, I think, Ashley and Lil Zane at Lil Zane's party. And Chaotic is there as well. There is some talk about Ashley finding out some things about Zayn and this baby taking him allowing the baby to take his last name from the baby mama. I don't know. And to be quite honest with you, I don't yet care because they so new. I don't necessarily know what to make of it. So maybe give me a little while longer and I will care a lot more. It's nothing wrong with them. I just don't really get it. I feel like this is one of those situations where we've just been thrown into something without really knowing what we were getting ourselves into. And now it's like a bunch of confusion. And it's kind of like we're left to try to figure out, well, do we even care about this or not? The next thing that I want to talk about is the fact that Amy is two-stepping, doing something, hunching, bumping, grinding, knocking the boots with Scrappy, allegedly. Let me put the alleged badge up here because I don't really know what the case may be. All I know is that it sounded like at the beginning of the season that Mama D was in the mix of all of this, trying to set something up between Amy Luciani and Scrappy, right? Don't it seem to me, well, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how Erica Dixon factors into this, because we ain't really seen that yet. Because we're seeing more about how Amy Luciani is upset with Bambi, and it almost feels like Amy is more interested in Scrappy because of Bambi and less because she's interested in Lil Scrappy as a person. Maybe she is in trying to see, what she can make that mouth do on him. I don't know. I really don't know. But it just seems like the interest lies more in Bambi's reaction to her dating him than it is that she may be indeed interested in him for his charming, sparkling personality. Meanwhile, Chaotic is kind of looking at Amy a little sideways because he's like, well, you and I was supposed to be cut buddies, but what you trying to do here? Like, you trying to get hooked up with my boy. And Amy is like, well, is that even your boy? Because I noticed on the YouTube streets that y'all ain't even listed on the YouTube channel together no more. You done took his name off of the thing. So what we have heard before, and we talked about this before the season even started, was that there was this idea that Scrappy and Chaotic were intending to work together. Now, working together in a partnership with someone can be very beneficial, and I highly advise it because oftentimes two heads are better than one. But you also have to have two people who are aligned in the vision in terms of their time, in terms of their energy. And what I'm learning also about myself is that, if my energy is not everything that I can give to something, then I might have to bow out. And maybe that's what Scrappy should have just simply said to Chaotic, because I think the lack of communication really just was maybe the issue with Chaotic in general. When I look back on the situation, maybe Scrappy took on more than he thought that he could. And there is something to be said about energetically having to switch hats multiple times a day. A lot of people can do it. I'm learning for myself that I'm not the best at it. Okay. But I'm trying to work to get better at it. Right. So what that means is I need a little bit of time and a break between when I do this and when I do my other work. So the ideal situation for me is if I'm doing this right now, as what I'm doing right now, as I'm having this, podcast, viewer engagement experience with you, then when I get done, I need to woosah. And the best way for me to woosah is physical activity. That is what I have learned, right? Maybe Scrappy hasn't really learned to do that yet because he's trying to go from father, reality TV star, to YouTube star, to putting in appearances, still making music, baby mama drama, dealing with his mama. Like, I really don't know. I'm not making up excuses for him, but I'm just trying to look at the situation from a universal perspective, right? All right. So I think that will circle back around at some point in the future because Amy got her eye on the situation because she's trying to be all up in the mix. I feel like this season, to me, while I like Amy, I feel like Amy's function this season seems to be more as a combative, not really combative, but I would just simply say that it seems like other people are her story this season versus her having something of her own and it being about that, right? Because if it ain't about Scrappy and Bambi, she's just with Ashley, and I'm just kind of like, it's given like you need something to do, right? That's what it feels like as a viewer. All right. So the next situation that we need to deal with is the situation of the ages. It is the age-old question: can young Jock be trusted? And what is Kendra to do? Now, young Jock has found himself in a situation where the blogs have definitely run wild with the story based on something that has been seen and leaked to the blogs, right? So basically, he was in a situation where someone he works with was upset about something. I don't really know. Um, this young lady named Mo. Okay, now Kendra calls her old, but I don't know. That's subjective because what is old these days, right? Is it me, or do y'all feel like sometimes I was having this discussion with one of my friends. I shall say no names to so that nobody is implicated. But it seems to me, don't it seem like sometimes the people in the younger generation look a little older than they should? Is it just me? Maybe it's just me. Like they be in their 20s. I mean, they be looking like they're 40. And I don't know if that's maybe the intent or the aesthetic of what is happening in today's climate, and maybe a result of what we eating. I really don't know. But that's what it feels like to me. I don't know. I can't really explain it. And if I offend somebody, I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you. Um, take a vacation. You know what I'm saying? Let some stress go. I don't know. Do some skincare. Drink some water. Have some matcha tea. Some dirt water. That's what I'm drinking. Anyway, If you need a vacation, though, come to Thailand in March 1st to the 7th. So anyway, shameless plug. Um, so Kendra, Jock is trying to mitigate this situation. He has a conversation with Mo, his associate, and says, listen, I need you to have a conversation with Kendra. And Mo is like, her argument is this: the blogs would not have run with it if I wasn't a beautiful woman. Ain't I beautiful, Jock? Ain't I? And that was kind of given like, to me, the nuance is where the disrespect lies, right? I don't think it's disrespectful. Well, I don't know. Given that she knows Kendra, I don't understand why they didn't all just have a conversation about this, but I'm sure it's better for the camera if they don't, right? So we'll suspend belief about all that. But what I will say is this: it was just given a little weird to me that there was a fascination for her with this idea that she is so beautiful. Now, granted, she could be correct. If the girl in question, if the internet did not find her aesthetically pleasing, then would it have been a situation? Would Kendra have even been upset? Is Kendra more upset about the speculation from the blogs or the fact that it's in the blogs and reading the comments than she is with the fact that it actually happened? Particularly if she knows this young lady, I think that's really it. I think it's about the optics for Kendra, and I think it's about the optics for Jock. Basically, for Jock, it's kind of like he's not self-aware enough to realize that because of his past, he needs to probably move a little bit differently in order to mitigate any of Kendra's insecurities about whether or not he is going to be faithful to her. Kendra is also, I'm sure, concerned because I think she realizes that all of these things that he does makes her look a certain type of way. And you have to ask yourself, Kendra, is it you staying that makes you look a certain type of way? If that is what you are concerned with. Because really, when you get into a relationship, it really does not matter what the outside world thinks about your relationship. It really matters what you think and what you and how you feel about your relationship more so than what the world thinks. Because something could be great for you in your relationship and the world can never understand it. And if that is the case, then you need to just roll with that. But if you are more concerned with what the outside world thinks about your decisions, about staying with this man who continues to put you in situations that you feel make you look silly, then that is really on you, right? And so for me, it would have behooved all of them, if they really wanted to squash this, is to have done an Instagram live or something like that, all three together laughing about the situation, because they would have already had a conversation about it prior to. Now, Jock does orchestrate this conversation between Kendra and Mo. The problem with that is that not only is Mo more caught up on how beautiful she is, but Kendra comes in already hot. Kendra is already on 10. Okay, Kendra is on 150. And to be quite honest with you, does she have a reason to be angry? Even if after everything I said, yes, she does. But angry at who? Yourself or him? You know? So that's a question that I want to ask you guys. Who should Kendra really be angry with? Should she be angry with herself or should she be angry with Jock? I mean, so with that being said, when the time comes for them to have a conversation outside, Kendra goes out and she's like, you owe me an explanation. You should have called me. We have made money together. I have had you in my house. You got my number, hussy. I need to know why you ain't have no conversation with me about this. And rightly so. Oh, listen, old girl, not old girl, but young girl, Mo, is like, listen, I was making money with Jock before you came around. And that definitely wasn't the right thing to say. But neither was the way Kendra came at her, because the situation probably could have been handled much differently had it not been so confrontational and combative to start with. So at that point, Mo is on the defense and Kendra is on the offense. And then it turns into offense versus offense. And the two of them are going at it. Kendra's like, and don't come back over to my house no more. I was like, girl, is that a threat? I mean, listen, I don't know. I guess it depends on how often Mo was at the house. And if she was at the house that much, then why don't y'all have some conversations? Anyway, they get to arguing, and it's FUB, and this you come see about me from Kendra. And listen, I mean, what are we looking at? I mean, I like Kendra. I think I respect her I think she's a great businesswoman. But the way she be hooping and hollering about Jock and all of these situations, it's just giving you taking your anger out on the wrong person, babe. You need to take your anger out on either him or you. Because at the end of the day, when Jock at that point, he's apologizing to Mo, but kind of telling her that Kendra has every right to feel upset. I mean, I don't know how Kendra's gonna feel about him apologizing to Mo for her, but I do feel like there was something to be said for the idea that as Mo is leaving, young Jock is like, I have security walk with you out. And she's like, I don't need it. You do. And basically, her parting shot is basically this. This is your problem. This is not my problem no more. Okay? The core issue is really you and Kendra's problem. Granted, what happened between Mo and Jock and it appearing outside on social media is just the tip of the iceberg, a surface level wound for a cut that runs very deep in their relationship that probably needs surgery. And putting a band aid on this is really never going to fix it. And every time they bump that cut that has been trying to heal in some weird way, it just reopens the wound. So it's like a never ending gash that just doesn't heal. And until they deal with the actual healing and the core issues, they are still going to remain in this place, looking crazy, fighting on the streets, yelling and screaming, all of that. Toxic. Moving on. The rehearsal day comes. Actually, no. I bypass something. Sierra is shooting a music video. She's upset because of the way that Amy dissed and dragged her in the diss track that's going on Spice's album, and she's still upset with Spice for allowing that to happen. She is in her music bag. Now, I don't know. This song sounds very different from the one I heard earlier this season. Maybe it is, maybe it is not. But this song definitely sounds better, right? But the problem for me is that Sierra shows up late to her own music video and she blames it on glam. Like, I had to look my best. I have to have on the best outfit. And I'm like, girl, this is a rehearsed look. This is the same look that I see you in all the time. Top ponytail, slick back down, long down here, and two wisps on the side. You haven't mastered this yet? Like, I don't understand. This is always a really interesting quagmire for me. When a person is continuously and habitually late and they blame it on some aspect of the getting ready process, but never look any different. If you are going to be late, please let it be because you experimented and you have tried something unfamiliar. Okay. Do not let it be that you are late and you are still looking like you typically do, because this is now you're playing with me. Because at the end of the day, when you come in that video shoot and you got on your biker shorts, your t-shirt, and that same hairstyle, the same looking makeup, what was it that really took so long? Okay, that's your first thing. So if you can't even show up to your own music video correctly, why should Spice include you on her album? I wouldn't. Now knowing what I know, you don't even take your business acumen seriously when it comes to this. So, I mean, what is it? She does get through the music video. The video and the song don't sound half bad, but at that point, it was like a turnoff for me because I'm like, who shows up late to their own music video and then complain about their glam? Take it being, I mean, I had to come looking good. Girl, like you look the same. Okay, it's giving same energy. So, no, miss me with that. Anyway, we get to the event. It's probably better because it sounds unorganized to me. Spice, speaking of which, is late as well to her own rehearsal event. And Yandy is left to try to explain to the people what they're supposed to be doing. And nobody really understands because it's really not clear. Is it a rehearsal? Is it a meeting? Are we just listening to the music? But no, she wants them to get on stage and perform these songs like they performing at a talent show. And I understand that idea to a certain degree because I'm kind of like, girl, do you know who I am? Like, I mean, for a couple of them, they could definitely be like, girl, I'm not doing that. I mean, I don't blame Scrappy for not doing it because at the end of the day, I would be like, I'm not doing that. That sounds crazy. The songs are not finished. We just simply doing this for your amusement. Like, girl, no. Play me the finished track and then I'll get a pen, I'll perform it for you. But until that track is finished, I don't know what we're doing here, right? Other than congregating for the purposes of having some drama. Speaking of drama, Chaotic wants to know from anybody that'll listen, is Amy dissing Bambi? Is Amy dissing Bambi? That is his prime concern. If he asked that question one more time, I was going to reach through the screen. Baby, let me tell you something. Speaking of reaching through the screen, last night I went to a screener for a movie called Mr. Crockett on Hulu. Listen, we met the director last night. It was a screening at the Motion Picture Association here in Washington, D.C. Shout out to my boy John Gibson for putting on such a great event. But let me say this. Y'all need to go see this movie on Hulu on October the 11th. It is the director and the writing team are Black. It is definitely the melanin is popping in this horror film, and it is good. And it is a very different take on a scary movie. So if you like scary movies, definitely tap into Mr. Crockett on Hulu on October the 11th. All right, now that we've gotten that word from our not sponsored video, let's get back into it. So yes, he wants to know, and finally we do get to hear again Amy's diss track. Again, all of the beats sound the very same to me, so I cannot ascertain what is happening. Bambi gets up and she does her song after a little bit of drama, like she's not going to perform. And I think that Bambi says some things in the rap that may have been clever, but I really couldn't get into it because I felt like Amy delivered her performance better, but Bambi may have, based on the reactions, had the better lyrical content because of the reactions that the cast was providing. I think in one moment Bambi also referenced, being in the hot tub in the cabin with Benzino, and Yandy calls it out that, at least she's owning the things that people have tried to throw at her all of these many years. To be honest with you, I mean, that was so long ago to me. Like, I'm uninterested in it anymore. And I feel like it's a low hanging fruit when somebody does bring it up. So the cast has moved beyond it. Rashida don't care about nothing dealing with Kirk. So who cares? That's all I got to say about it. I don't know where we're getting with this whole situation with the cast album. All I know is that there is some lingering tension between Chaotic and Scrappy. Scrappy is unwilling to perform because he has not finished his song, and neither has young Jock. And I don't think he's going to have it finished next week either. So there's still a bit of chaos with regards to this cast album. I blame a lot of that on Spice and her ability to communicate what it is that she wants in terms of the structure of things that are supposed to be happening. She does provide them with a folder of paperwork that I don't know what it is. I don't know if these are contracts or what, but this seems to assuage everyone. So it seems as though things are fine. The last thing that we see is a beautiful scene of Rennie Rucci going into labor and having her baby. And it sounds like we won't see her again for a little while. So that was the show. Again, I was entertained, but left a bit baffled and confused by just a few things. Let me know what your thoughts were down in the comment section down below, and I'll, of course, catch you in the next video.